Welcome to Adding Fractions. Today we'll be talking about adding two types of fractions. The first fraction will be an example where we have like denominators, which means the numbers on the bottom are the same. And the second type of fraction will be unlike denominators, where we don't have a common denominator and the numbers are different. But back to our common denominator. We have 1/4 plus 1/4. The first thing you always have to do when adding fractions is to find out if you do have a common denominator. In this case, we do. Our common denominator is 4, so we can skip that step. The second step is to add the numerators. But before we do that, I have a picture here of a circle. And using the circle, I want to represent 1/4. The bottom number is 4, so I know that means I have to break my circle up into 4 parts. And the top number is 1, which means I have 1 part. Now I have 2 of these. I have 1/4 here and 1/4 here, so I'm going to color in 2/4 of my circle. Our second step is to add the numerators, which I said before. So 1 plus 1 is 2. We never add the denominators because that would change the number of pieces the circle is cut into. So in this case, it's just going to stay 4. We always like to simplify fractions. In this case, you can tell what the simplified answer of your fraction is by using your picture. But another way to look at this is to ask yourself, what number can I divide both the numerator and the denominator by? In this case, we can divide them both by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And our final answer is 1/2, which, looking at our picture here, you can tell we clearly have 1/2 of the pizza shaded in. Our second example is in a problem where we have unlike denominators. So we have to take an extra step and find a common denominator. The way we find a common denominator is to multiply the two denominators together. In this case, they're 4 and 6. So we're going to multiply 4 times 6, which gives us 24, our common denominator. This isn't the least common denominator, and this isn't the only problem you could put on the bottom, but it's a good place to start when you're practicing. So we had our new common denominator is 24. But the golden rule of algebra and solving fractions is if I do something to the bottom, I have to do it to the top. So if I multiply the bottom by 6 to get 24, I also have to multiply the top. Same thing over here. If I multiply the bottom by 4 to get 24, I have to multiply the top. Don't forget this last key step or your numerator will be wrong. So now we have 3 times 6, which is 18. And 1 times 4, which is 4. And so we're left with 18 over 24 plus 4 over 24. When we combine our numerators, we have 18 plus 4, which gives us a total of 22. And again, we never ever add the denominators, so we still have 22 over 24. We're almost done. Our last step with fractions is always to simplify. So again, we pick a number that we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by. A good starting place is always divide by 2. 22 divided by 2 is 11. 24 divided by 2 is 12. We check our answer again. There's no numbers that you can divide both 11 by and 12 by, so our final answer is 11 over 12. Alright, now you try a problem. Pause the video after you've copied the problem down, and using our steps, find a common denominator, add the numerators, and simplify. Try to solve 2/3 plus 1/7. Again, what we're going to do first is find a common denominator. In this case, we're going to multiply 3 together by 7. We'll multiply by 7 and by 3. We're just multiplying by the opposite. If I multiply the denominator by 7, I also have to multiply the numerator by 7. If I multiply the denominator by 3, I also have to multiply the numerator by 3. So these are our key numbers right here in the denominator here. We're just multiplying the opposite on both sides here. Alright, 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 1 is 3. And again, 7 times 3 is 21. Then our second step is to add the numerators. So 14 plus 3 is 17. We never ever add our denominator, so we have 17 over 21. We check our answer. Can't simplify. So our final answer is 17 over 21. Alright, last problem. On your own, try 5/8 plus 2/3. Pause the video until you've completed your work, and then come back to check your answer. We have to multiply by 3 and by 8 to get a common denominator. But once again, our golden rule, if we multiply the denominator by a number, we also have to multiply the numerator by the number. And they always have to be the same number. So now our math work. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 8 is 24. 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. We have to add the numerators. 15 plus 16 is 31. And our denominator is still 24. Now this problem looks a little bit different because we have the number on top bigger than the number on bottom. So we ask ourselves, how many times can 24 fit into 31? It can fit in one time. And so we've used up 24, so we count all the way up to 31. So 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and we're left with 7 pieces left over. So our final answer, simplified, is 1 and 7/24.